The manhwa kicks off with a maid frantically begging the female lead to wait and questioning where she's going dressed in her sleepwear. She demands to know if all this fuss is really just because there was a bug in her breakfast. The maid reminds her that it was already explained it was merely a mistakenly served crustacean. Yet this maid, acting as if she owns the household, scoffs that if Giselle doesn't fix her attitude, she'll only bring shame to the family. She shouts at Giselle, our actual female lead. Giselle truly can't take it anymore. The maids have had enough of her. They no longer speak a word and now treat her with cold disdain. She bursts out of her room without a word. They're the servants, yet they behave like the master. They don't even wish to serve her anymore. Giselle is fine enduring harassment from the staff, but what really bothers her is how every possible misfortune seems drawn to her. She now wonders why on earth it's raining on such a sunny day. She starts shouting, frustrated, that these things only ever happen to her. But again, she cannot simply stand by and let this world fool her future. Her name is Giselle Floette, and she has been reincarnated as the heroine of a regret fiction novel, the very one titled You Will Regret If I Die. It was a novel she once read in her past life to soothe her soul after dealing with awful customers. However, it turned out to be a classic regret fiction with a sweet potato plot that only left her feeling more upset. The protagonist was the one and only daughter of the great Archmage, a girl who lost her magical power and knew nothing of hardship. After her birth, her father, Count, and her mother died or vanished for some unknown reason, so she was taken in and adopted as the daughter of the Floret family. Her father's friend, Count Floret, looked after her for a while but later left to retrieve the belongings of her deceased father. In his absence, her younger sister and Giselle's step-aunt, Lady Mariposa, took over as the manor's caretaker. That was when Giselle's life truly began to fall apart. She was tormented, falsely accused and slandered by Marquis Berto for his own benefit, and betrayed by Duke Richelieu, who pretended to court her only to steal her mana. These trashy individuals robbed her of her potential. To make matters worse, the high society misunderstood the situation, believing Giselle was trying to climb her way up by seducing numerous men. They wanted her title, her influence, her everything. The protagonist of that novel endured it all: the slander, the abuse, the social ostracization, the humiliating nicknames. She tolerated everything. And yet, despite all that investment, the story still ended with Giselle's death. She remembers the moment she spit her drink in disbelief, thinking, what kind of ending is that? After enduring so much with the main character, she felt robbed. She left a comment under the final chapter that would become infamous across the fandom, known as the Giselle Buff comment. She questioned whether the author even knew what a buff was. How could Giselle be called the buff of the story? She's already dead. The commenter replied that things might have been different if Giselle had acted differently. But Giselle had died, and the series had ended. She kept arguing with the commenter, frustrated and muttering about how pitiful Giselle's fate was. Eventually, she fell asleep. The second she opened her eyes, she knew she was screwed. The memories of her past life rushed back. It all made sense now why this life felt so familiar, why the mansion felt like deja vu. It's because she really had been reincarnated into this tragic regret fiction novel. She is Giselle, the same pitiful heroine she once read about and pitied. In other words, the only path awaiting her is the painful road laid out for the regret fic heroine. Now, she lies on the ground, reeling. Just like that, 2 weeks have passed since her reincarnation. Worse still, this is the period in the novel when the female lead's family begins accumulating their bad karma. It feels like the entire world wants her to be miserable. She can only endure so much being bullied, cast aside. She begins to wonder if she can even survive as the heroine of a regret fic. Then it hits her: what if she ends up dying just like in the original novel? She had it rough dealing with terrible customers in her past life, but now she's expected to live a miserable life here too, only to die again? As if on cue, the maids come in again, mocking her for pretending to be so innocent. They insinuate that this is how she seduces everyone. Giselle scoffs inwardly at their cruelty. Can they really laugh when someone else is in pain? Her voice finally cuts through the air. She lifts the wet sponge and throws it at them. She screams that everyone here is making her life a nightmare. She doesn't care what happens anymore. The original novel's heroine has already died once in her past life. She is not going to die here again. She refuses to play the heroine in this story. Just then, she sees the sun peeking through the clouds and remembers that cursed comment: if Giselle had acted differently, maybe she wouldn't have died. Her heart jumps. Does this mean she can stay alive just by acting differently than the original Giselle? It's perfect. Playing the tragic heroine was never her style anyway. Now that it's confirmed, She is determined to do the complete opposite of the heroine, and that includes having nothing to do with those garbage male leads. As for everyone who tormented Giselle before, now, the butler and Mariposa demand to know if she's gone mad. Wearing the maid's clothes, Giselle stares them down. Indeed, she has gone mad, but it's the kind of madness that won't rest until she makes them all pay. As the saying goes, there is always a bigger fish. Now, it's time to show all these lunatics that the biggest lunatic is standing right above them. Everything they've taken from her, she is going to take it back. And they better be ready to watch. Mariposa sits, glaring as she asks Giselle what exactly she thinks she's doing, acting so recklessly in front of everyone. Giselle, calm yet smirking, thinks to herself what a perfect moment this is for the villain to make her grand reappearance. The woman who had tormented her endlessly, who had made her life hell and laid the foundation for all her regrets. Target number 1, Mariposa. In the original story, Giselle once wrote a heartful letter in an attempt to get close to Mariposa. She had thought that maybe they could bond, as both of them seemed to suffer in silence. Mariposa had no children of her own and received strict orders from her husband. Giselle had believed they could find common ground, but Mariposa had coldly told her not to offer such trash again. She made Giselle burn that letter, a letter she had written, until her small hands had turned stiff and red. The letter was reduced to ashes right before her eyes. From that moment on, Mariposa made it clear she wasn't worthy of giving anyone such gifts. The bullying worsened from there, becoming more blatant once the Count had left. Mariposa declared that no matter how great Giselle's father once was, now she was just a defective return. She said that since Giselle was staying here for free, she might as well start working like a maid. Constant verbal abuse followed day after day, with not a single person treating her like a human being. The only small comfort Giselle had was her magical talent. She thought she hadn't inherited it from her father, and some of her mana seemed depleted. But the truth was, her mana was astonishing, strong and refined. She dared not tell anyone, though not while Mariposa was around, and that had been a smart decision. If it had become known, Mariposa would have tried to exploit her for it. Now Mariposa barks that Giselle needs to get dressed because today is the day of her engagement announcement to Viscount Mill. Today is the exact day when Giselle's life had begun spiraling downward in the original novel. Rumors were already spreading about her supposed flirtations with Berto and Richelieu. Now, Mariposa wanted to marry her off to a 30-year-old man, claiming it would benefit the family. Giselle is told to go and get ready. Mariposa scoffs, saying she should know her place. After all, she was the one who found her a fiancé, so Giselle had better be ready within the hour. But unfortunately for Mariposa, things aren't going to go as she planned, because Giselle refuses to live this miserable life. Even in the grand hall, people begin murmuring upon her entrance. Is this really Giselle, the one getting married? They're amused. They snicker. They whisper how shameless she must be. And more importantly, what on earth is she wearing? Even Mariposa twitches at the sight. What in the world is she wearing? Giselle casually replies that she's sorry, she simply lost track of time while cleaning. Mariposa is stunned. Giselle actually showed up wearing a maid's uniform. She knows she has to fix this immediately before the engagement is ruined. Mariposa tries to spin it by saying Giselle is always so considerate toward the servants, always helping out. She whispers urgently, asking where the dresses she had bought for her are. But Giselle replies bluntly, what is she even talking about? She never bought her a single dress. The people in the hall begin to chatter again, calling Giselle shameless. But she doesn't give a damn what they say. Let them talk for as long as they want. Mariposa hisses that she doesn't care what Giselle is wearing, she must at least please Viscount Mill, who is generously taking in someone unwanted. The Viscount's entry is announced. He steps in, calling Giselle his baby, excited that their love is finally going to bear fruit. Then he stops. He flinches at the sight of her outfit. It's unique. Giselle can't believe they're really trying to marry her off to this man. At this point, it's not even about his age. It's his eyes, the way he talks, his clothes, everything screams unhinged. He starts going on about how long he waited for this day. He even got his hair treated so it would look shinier and more beautiful. Mariposa smiles awkwardly, saying he clearly put a lot of thought into this. She nudges Giselle to go and make the engagement announcement with him. But Giselle says no. Mariposa stares at her, stunned. She repeats it no. Mariposa gapes at her and demands to know if her ears are clogged. Is Giselle seriously refusing this engagement? But who's going to tell them that the current Giselle is no longer the one from the novel? She's someone who spent 3,650 days juggling part-time jobs, from barbecue restaurants to kids' cafes, public offices, home shopping networks. a Liberty Scholar of problematic customers. Compared to the entitled people of the modern world, the villains of a regret fantasy are nothing more than helpless puppies. It's time to show her skills for the first time in a while. Normally, it's best to ignore rude customers, but people like Mariposa only get angrier when ignored. So Giselle chooses to provoke her directly. She says that the smell coming from Mariposa is so awful, it's making her dizzy. Mariposa screams at her. Is she really saying she stinks? That she's the one who's classless and filthy? Giselle scoffs. If that's true, then someone as filthy as her has no right to stand beside her. And for someone like her, this kind of outfit fits just right. The guests shout in disbelief. What is she doing now? She's wearing rags. A maid's outfit. Mariposa shouts her name. Giselle smiles. That's right. She has gone mad. She's making clothes from what was discarded. And now Mariposa won't be able to contain her rage. Giselle asks, does it not suit someone like her? She's glad she brought it along. Before the banquet even starts, Mariposa is so filled with rage that she declares she can't tolerate this insolent behavior anymore. She will personally ensure that Giselle's filthy mouth is shut forever. Giselle is aware. This world only makes rules that apply to her alone. One where everything goes off the rails without any clear reason. That's why Mariposa, unable to control her fury, lashes out without caring about appearances anymore. She throws her drink at Giselle, but it lands on Viscount Mill. Even his wig shifts slightly. The entire manor freezes in shock. Outside, a young man steps out of a carriage, wondering if something has happened inside the estate. Viscount Mill shouts at her, demanding to know what she thinks she is doing. Giselle calmly asks him if he is truly acting righteous right now, as if Mariposa is supposed to just endure everything. But Mill is dumbfounded, unable to process that they really think this situation is fine. He yells that never in his entire life has he been treated like this. In his outrage, he decides to call off the engagement. Giselle, more than happy to oblige, agrees instantly. She lashes out as well, stating firmly not to ever contact her again. Mariposa turns to Giselle in disbelief, asking who she even thinks she is. She throws blame at her, claiming it's thanks to her that the engagement has now fallen through. Mariposa declares that if Giselle truly hates him that much, then fine, it's all good. She plans to find another family who will marry her off instead. But Giselle only coldly remarks that if Mariposa truly believes she can do that, she should count her blessings. The moment the Count, her brother, returns to the manor, she'll remind her that he only accepted her under one condition, that she treat Giselle like her own daughter. But based on her behavior, it's hardly anything close to what one would expect from a mother. Mariposa scoffs and tells her to shut her mouth, claiming her brother is already dead. After all, he disappeared after discovering the Spice Island, and ever since then, everyone just assumed he had died. But Giselle doesn't back down. She says to Mariposa that anything is possible after all. If the missing Count does return, he might punish her for treating Giselle like this. There's no rule that says he can't come back before she gets married. Mariposa makes a very annoyed face and screams for the video feed to come back immediately, only to be informed that it ended about 5 minutes ago. Just then, a man enters the banquet hall. It's the same man from before. The room freezes as everyone gasps he is Duke Kalinos. People are terrified at the sight of blood on his hand. House Kalinos is one of the Empire's 3 great dukedoms, renowned for magic, swordsmanship, artifacts, and potions, but even more infamous for their brutality. Located in the north near the Monster Lands, the current Duke, Valentine Kalinos, is known for mercilessly slaughtering monsters. Soaked in blood, he is said to be more like a demon than a man. People call him the Bloody Shadow Valentine Kalinos. He walks in silently, thinking that he shouldn't have come here. This party isn't really his style. He's more into precise research. Earlier, he was analyzing variants in monster fluids by crushing them with one hand. He sighs, annoyed at the blood still dripping from his palm. He's far more of a magic research nerd than a socialite. Besides that, he doesn't kill humans. Still, he has a mountain of work to finish but came here because of his gaming friend pestering him to attend. The party is already a waste of time full of useless interaction. And on top of that, he doesn't even have a life partner. He doesn't know how to socialize with women, let alone get married. He knows that in times like this, he's supposed to smile. But his version of a smile looks more like a demon's grin. Even the butler trembles as he assures him that he'll open the way immediately. Valentine thinks to himself, just like the book said, smile to leave a good impression. Books are always right. He also wonders if skipping all the Marshall suites increases the chance of divorce. That would actually be highly efficient. A temporary marriage might work better. Get married, then get divorced. And if he can find someone whom his family absolutely loathes the idea of marrying, then even better. The only problem is there's no such lady available. But then Giselle passes right in front of him. His eyes widen as he looks at her. He cannot believe what she is even wearing to this party. On top of that, it seems like she caused a huge scene. Maybe this is the woman of his dreams. A woman who might just be the perfect reason to cancel his marriage. Even his aide is startled, asking what kind of woman she even is. Valentine turns to his aide and asks if it's possible for him to marry someone as long as she agrees, isn't a commoner, and doesn't violate imperial law. The aide confirms this. Valentine immediately orders him to cancel all his upcoming social events and to find out everything about that lady Giselle. After all, a brand new subject of research has arrived. Meanwhile, outside the banquet hall, Giselle is enjoying herself. That was quite the scene. Mariposa comes storming after her, asking if she didn't know that Giselle could use magic. Although her mana is nearly drained, Giselle can still manage simple wind magic just enough to deflect flying liquids. All she did was break free from the plot's control, and now she feels amazing. A happy future finally seems possible. It's time to take her next step. If she wants to win, she needs strength. For example, a great mage, one of the top 5 in the Empire, is said to be so powerful that even the Emperor bows his head to him. If she becomes a great mage, getting revenge will be far easier, and she can totally twist the original novel. So, her first step, replenish her mana. Second, find a decent master. And third, stock up on artifacts and magical items to become even stronger. All fired up, she heads toward the place she has in mind to restore her mana. She reaches a place called the Resting Dragon. Before entering, she tells herself that she knows they are hiring short-term staff and she would like to work here. Though the aftermath of the war has left deep scars, the Emperor is now obsessed with wealth. In the post-war recovery, merchants who amassed fortunes rose quickly through a newly formed class known as the gentry. Some of these wealthy individuals began purchasing noble titles with money. In response, nobles too began founding merchant guilds under borrowed names to enter the business world. And so, the commercial streets began to flourish, among them the Kalinos family's very own Kalinos Roastery Street. On this street, Valentine's aide informs him that they will attend to gathering all the necessary information about Giselle. However, Valentine expresses little interest in anything else. He still wishes for his aide to look at the list of Duchess candidates, but Valentine firmly orders him to discard the entire list. He declares that none of them were ever capable of becoming his wife in the first place. Now that Giselle has appeared, none of it matters anymore. He casually calls his aide, but the aide corrects him, reminding him that his name is Peterson. Valentine, unbothered, calls him Peter again. Peterson sighs, repeating that it's Peterson, not Peter. Valentine then asks why there are so many people gathered at this restaurant. He suspects the investigation couldn't have gone wrong and wonders if something unexpected has occurred. Peterson considers that maybe the restaurant became famous thanks to Valentine's own words. But Valentine isn't fully convinced. Suddenly, Giselle appears, shocking Valentine. She cheerfully announces to the customers that the hot bread is ready. The people had heard she was sick, but here she is dealing with customers and cooking in the kitchen. It's definitely not something one would expect from the daughter of a count. Yet, Valentine is impressed. Without saying more, he turns to leave, stating that he needs to make preparation. Peterson, puzzled, asks if he wasn't here to talk to her. Peterson finds the whole situation fascinating since he's known Valentine. The only things that have ever sparked his interest were discovering a rare ingredient, encountering a tameable magic beast, or stumbling upon a new research subject. Now he wonders, why is Valentine acting like this? Could this really be love at first sight? That night, Giselle sits in the back, sipping something delicious. It was worth exhausting all her secret techniques today. Thanks to her efforts, the shop's revenue has increased 100-fold, and she has also managed to recover her mana thanks to the potion she received as a reward. That's right, the reason she worked at this Kalinos-owned establishment was because of the potion. Even though the owner tried to persuade her to keep working, her main goal was never to win favor, it was to obtain the Dragon Claw, a mana potential activation potion developed by the Kalinos family. Though the potion had failed in the market and been discarded into storage, it was still valuable. The Kalinos family, a reclusive magical noble house, is infamous for making advanced potions like this and mastering high-level magic. Just drinking their soup could strengthen one's mana. But entering their household as a mere worker is impossible, so she had to get the potion this way. Then, someone calls out her name. It's Valentine. Giselle stares at him, thinking she's seen that handsome face somewhere before. He certainly doesn't look like a background character. He introduces himself as Valentine Kalinos, which instantly shocks her. She knows who he is, the secret villain. She tenses, wondering what he wants from her. He tells her not to be wary. He's come to make a request. She is stunned, in complete disbelief. Why would he be making a request to her? She asks him what kind of request it is. And then, he gets down on one knee. He says it's a proposal. He's here to ask her to become his wife. Giselle freezes, unable to believe her ears. Is he really asking her to be his wife? The wife? Wife as in the actual term she knows. Valentine tilts his head, asking if there's another meaning to the word. Giselle stares at him, baffled. What in the world is he even talking about? She had only planned to enjoy watching his face for a while and then move on. She certainly didn't expect him to drop a bomb like this. Valentine, noting her silence, apologizes for being inconsiderate. He gently asks if she would accept this ring he had specially prepared for this day. He opens the box, revealing a massive diamond. She slaps her own cheek, trying to get a grip. She can't allow herself to fantasize about marrying into his house. She is the lead who always ends up regretting everything. Nothing good ever happens to her. She turns to leave, saying she's not sure where he got his information about her, but she doesn't provide shady services like pretending to be someone's lover or wife. But then Valentine calmly tells her that if she agrees to pose as his wife in public, he will give her 5 billion gold per year. This catches her attention. That amount is enough to buy 2 entire houses in the townside. If he's truly offering that much just to pretend to be his wife for a year. She gets angry, asking if he really thinks she's the kind of woman who'd just drop everything for money. Is this what he thinks of her? Just because she's an ordinary woman? Still, her thoughts spiral. How did he manage to find her so easily? Suddenly, she smiles sweetly and suggests they head to a more comfortable place to talk. After all, in this capitalistic world, that much money is more than enough to buy any modern woman's heart. At the Valentine lab, Valentine is genuinely overjoyed. He has finally crafted the potion he desired, successfully completing it after 399 days, 13 hours, and 30 minutes. With a sense of triumph, he turns toward Peterson, whom he casually calls Peter, and says that he would like to ask him something. The question is whether 5 billion gold is considered a significant amount. Peterson, slightly stunned, answers that it's the equivalent of 3 years' worth of budget for a noble house, so yes, it's massive. Still, he's confused. What's the reason behind this question? He had assumed she would accept the proposal without a hint of hesitation. Last night, she had asked what exactly he expected her to do. His answer had been simple, yet outrageous. He wanted her to marry him and become the worst kind of human being. The goal? To make his entire family regret the concept of bargaining altogether. Essentially, he was looking for a professional troublemaker. No wonder he had sought her out. She was good at dealing with problematic customers, after all, which meant she understood every string to pull, and executing this wouldn't be an issue for her. Still, she had replied that she would like some time. This was sudden, and while she wasn't rejecting it outright, she had asked for 3 days to think it over. As she walked away, she stated that she would contact him after 3 days. Sure, the delay is quite reasonable, but even so, she doesn't lower her guard. A contract marriage isn't something a person should jump into without hesitation, especially not when the other party is far above her station. Getting involved with the villain family is not a good idea. She knows she needs to stay cautious, especially since that incident is about to surface again, the one that will drastically increase her market value. The maids spend the entire day shaking her awake, saying she can't keep sleeping here and must get out. She jokingly says it feels like she's been exiled to the servants' quarters just for breaking off the engagement. The maids inform her that the Count is here. Her heart flares up. Could it be? Is he really going to return? The maids whisper among themselves, clearly having been told not to inform her ahead of time. She's thrilled. Finally, the man who is about to increase her value just by existing has returned. The Heretic Count is being welcomed back after 5 years. He has even brought back the late Count Sahira's keepsake. In the original story, he had tried to treat his friend's daughter well, but his obsession with finding Sahira's keepsake had driven him to abandon her to Mariposa. Still, after her death, he was the only one who had ever expressed remorse for what he had done to her. Now is the time to mend things with him. If she can bring him to her side, her chances of survival will increase significantly. But Mariposa will definitely try to stop this for emotional reason. Each of their interactions will become a battlefield. In this case, she'll have to stage a coincidence. In the original story, when he returned, he had encountered Giselle by the fountain for the first time. Someone scoffs now that she's walking around out here when she's supposed to be grounded. She really hadn't wanted to run into him just yet. He treats Giselle like garbage at every opportunity, and yet he still acts like he's going to become the next great mage. A lifetime failure who can't even make it past the first magic circle. Mariposa's son, Abzian, pokes her on the forehead and sarcastically remarks that she might scare him to death. She's reminded that she's inside the novel. He used to push her around constantly. She thinks there's something she can do, even knowing he's essentially worthless. Still, his presence tenses her up. He scoffs, saying that someone as incompetent as her roaming the estate is just plain annoying. He threatens to wait until Berto and Rational return to the capital. She scoffs right back, claiming she also wishes Rational would return. She's not amused. It's time to brag a little about her magic skills. She says she has something to show him, something that will allow her to prove that she was able to unlock another magic stage. Abzian stares at her and demands to know where her confidence is even coming from and how she's managing to use magic without any artifacts or a mana reservoir. She explains that she self-studied and somehow succeeded. He bursts into laughter, ridiculing her. Magic isn't something one can learn overnight. But she insists at least for her, it worked. If he truly doubts her, he can test it. He can't believe she's actually trying to use him to fight with, especially when she's got no artifact backing her. If she truly wins, he wants her to hand over the hidden artifact. She smirks and agrees, but if she wins, he'll have to drop that fragile ego and get on his knees to apologize. Without hesitation, she uses her mana. His shock is immediate. What is she doing? The daunting water is really floating in the air. It's surreal. She gazes at the scene with pride. This is the real deal, a kind of magic someone like him could never pull off. On the other side of the estate, Mariposa greets the Count with a warm smile, genuinely glad to see him after 5 long years. He asks if she's been doing well too. She tells him that there's no way she could have been fine after losing contact with him. She had been sick with worry this entire time. The Count comments that it must have been incredibly difficult for her to manage the manor alone in his absence. Her eyes land on the locket hanging from his neck, immediately recognizing it as the keepsake of the late Count Sahira. He then asks her about Abzian and Giselle, how they've been doing. She informs him that Abzian is probably out walking somewhere, while Giselle must be in her room. After all, she is very introverted and finds it difficult to interact with others. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted when Mariposa gets excited, pointing to a rainbow that's appeared in the sky even though it hasn't rained. The Count looks up and says that it must be a rainbow made from mana. The mana in this age must be of high quality. He reminisces that he had only ever seen a rainbow that beautiful once before, back when Giselle's father had created one. This one carries the same beauty as that one. Mariposa quickly jumps to conclusions, claiming it must be Abzian's doing. She explains how hard he has been working on mana and magic, and how he's worthy of carrying the Count's name. She then urges the Count to go visit him, suggesting that Abzian will be thrilled to see him. But their expressions change entirely when they turn the corner, only to witness Abzian being utterly defeated by Giselle. Mariposa calls out Abzian's name in disbelief, while Giselle mockingly remarks that she accidentally made the rainbow with her mana, and now she's wondering what to do about their little agreement if she won. She stares at Abzian and asks what exactly he's waiting for. Shouldn't he be kneeling right now? Or is he planning to throw another tantrum and accuse her of cheating with an artifact? Mariposa, stunned, questions whether that magic was really cast by Giselle. Abzian grits his teeth, seething at her audacity. How dare she try to humiliate him like this? Giselle casually observes that he seems incapable of kneeling, so maybe she'll have to help him with that. She channels her magic, forcing him to kneel against his will. Mariposa rushes forward in panic, yelling at her, demanding what the hell she thinks she's doing. Giselle only smiles and tilts her head, innocently asking when exactly Mariposa arrived here. Mariposa turns to the Count and demands to know if he's really seeing this. How could someone so shameless act this way after everything they've done for her? But the Count waves off the dramatics, saying they'll get to greetings later. For now, he turns to Giselle and asks if she really created that rainbow. She confirms it without hesitation. Mariposa screams that this is impossible, his nephew got hurt because of her. The Count points out that this level of rainbow magic isn't something just anyone can do. Even at the most basic level, one needs a pure alignment with the element of light to achieve such a feat. Abzian erupts, shouting that it's all nonsense. This was clearly a setup, a stunt. No wonder her fiancé ran off. The Count's expression turns cold. He hadn't known they tried to marry her off without his consent. Giselle immediately puts on her innocent face, revealing that Mariposa tried to wed her to a man 30 years older. Mariposa tries to defend herself, claiming that despite the age gap, he was a good man and that Giselle had said so herself. Giselle blinks and asks when exactly she said that. The Count, expression freezing over, declares they'll talk about this matter later, but he warns Mariposa not to try something like that again. Mariposa mutters that with all the rumors swirling around Giselle, she just wanted to get her married off quickly. The Count glares and firmly reminds her that regardless of her intentions, the final decision is his to make. Turning back to Giselle, his gaze softens. He says that seeing how much she's grown feels as though Sahira has come back to life. The memories are flooding back, and he reminisces aloud that it was during this time that he himself had gotten married. He explains that he's talking about her father, how back in the day, they used to smash every artifact they brought back from the tower, just for fun. He admits that he really misses him. Giselle can clearly see that the Count is no longer entirely in his right mind. In the side story, it was said that the Count and her father had been best friends since youth. If something didn't suit them, they would destroy it and only ask questions afterward. They were clearly a troubled duo, neither of them normal by any measure. But maybe, just maybe, this madness is working in her favor. She decides she must keep pretending to be the real thing for now, at least until she secures her survival. The more she plays the part, the more fond of her the Count becomes. Eventually, he hands over her father's keepsake, declaring that she deserves it. Then the two of them begin walking off together, side by side. Mariposa, left behind, seethes with rage. How in the world had Giselle gained power like that? Abzian turns to her, asking if she plans to just stand there. What if Giselle decides to take revenge on them? Mariposa answers darkly that they need to deal with her before that ever happened. The Count asks her if she is all good. He is waking her something that never happened in the original novel. She replies that all is fine, except for the fact that Mariposa was trying to send her off to that Count. At this, he gets angry and wonders how that rat dared to desire his daughter. He assures her that she doesn't have to worry, as he will take care of it himself. He trusts her so much that she wants to snitch on everyone, but now is not the right time for that. So she will have to wait, especially since many people in the mansion are currently on Mariposa's side. The Count reminds her that she must keep that artifact if she wants her father to stay safe. It is a relic that will help change her appearance, and even if she searches the entire empire, she won't be able to find something as good as this. Also, her father used to hide extra functions in it, so it is worth trying. She is excited to see that it contains other functions too, but the problem is that she felt at the moment she got it the mana consumption is insane. It is a rare item, but she cannot use it often, so she notes it to herself for the future. One day, the Count assures her there is no need to rush. Even though her mana is small right now, it will get better with training. He adds that it would be best to graduate from the academy, or even better, if she got a master for herself. But who cares, as he has neither money nor connections. However, the Count suddenly asks her if she wants him to fund a good magic teacher. Hiring a magic teacher costs billions. At this rate, the Count is a godsend. This is a great opportunity, and if she stands out here, she might be able to leave a good impression. She answers enthusiastically that of course, she would love to meet them this instant. Hassan, the magic teacher of Abzian, is angry. He wonders how Giselle knows about magic when she has never been to a magic academy. She replies that it is the impression he is making. Hassan flinches. Did his face show that? She assures him that if he is doubting her, he can test her. He starts with the basics breathing technique. She takes a breath and asks if she is doing it right. Hassan can't believe she is doing the standard breathing so smoothly. Even Abzian took a year to get it right. But again, it could be her luck. So he asks her to form a mana circle. The amount of mana is determined by the trust, but that doesn't mean training is not required. The more mana circles formed around the mana heart, the stronger and larger the magic that can be wielded. Of course, having a larger mana heart makes creating circles easier. So in the end, the size of the mana heart matters the most. He says he won't deny that. After the mana circle is drawn, they will check the size of her mana heart. He happens to have the artifact that measures it. If she places her hand on it, the brightness of the ball will indicate the size of her mana heart. He doesn't expect anything from her, as he has heard from Mariposa that she has no talent, so she doesn't need to feel pressured. She puts her hand while Hassan yawns, thinking she isn't even at the first level. Once the test is done, he will simply tell the Count that she has no talent, but he is stunned to see the light. He was told that she had no talent, but in reality not only did she have average skill, she possesses a 5-circle mana heart. It is big enough to reach the upper levels. He shouts that this is absurd. He goes rushing to the Count's office and says that he thinks Giselle is using some kind of trick. The Count asks him what he is talking about. Hassan mentions that her mana heart is too large and her mana control is too skilled. The Count remembers Giselle telling him that she won't be the timid, naive girl anymore and that she will show him how great she is. He wonders what she meant by that. Has she changed? Did she mean that her power has awakened? The Count is glad that she's improving, but Hassan is losing it. He says it doesn't make sense for her to be this talented. It is already common knowledge that she has no talent, and now she is suddenly possessing such great magical skills. With that kind of talent, he says, he should be the one getting taught by her. He insists that she must be using forbidden tricks. That makes the Count angry. How dare a mere teacher like him attribute his students' great skills to witchcraft? He says he can't let someone like Hassan remain in his house, and he fires him immediately. Hassan asks him if he is being serious right now. The Count says that a true teacher will appreciate his students' skills, not be threatened by them. He tells Hassan to leave and not expect to get hired anywhere else either. Hassan can't believe that he is being fired for something like this, but the Count doesn't back down. It seems that Hassan still hasn't come to his senses. In the end, Hassan is fired. The Count immediately calls Giselle and apologizes to her for hiring such a teacher. Now she is angry. How dare the news spread that Giselle has stolen the Sahara heirloom? A huge uproar follows as the gossip explodes on Twitter. The one who started it is none other than Hassan, her former teacher. He makes it sound like he was fired because of her. Even though things are going better than they were in the original, Giselle's doom law is still active. The fact that not even this event breaks the regret narrative trope must mean that she has slipped. She hasn't escaped the original ending yet. She wonders if there are some strong plot elements that can truly change the flow of the story. Then her eyes land on the big diamond ring that just Valentine gave her the other day. She greets Valentine to receive his blessings for the marriage. After all, nothing is a better plot than getting into a contract marriage with the villain. Valentine thanks her for coming but asks what the document in her hand is. She says that this is her profile, as it will definitely help him figure her out better and decide whether to hire her. He looks at her profile and it is impressive. A flawless narrative from beginning to end. It seems like it was drafted by a real professional with experience far beyond her years. The truth is, this perfect document wasn't written just by her skill alone. The relic she possesses has a hidden ability, the magic corrector. It's a feature she discovered while experimenting with the relic, and thankfully, it consumes very little mana. Thanks to that, she was able to write a near-perfect administrative document. Valentine is amazed. He has never seen such high-level administrative work before. He asks if she has worked in such a position before. Then he wonders who taught her all this. The problem, he thinks, is that her ability stands out a little too much. Valentine suspects something strange. She claims to have had no teacher, and yet here she is this skilled? He starts thinking that maybe she is the goddess of language. His expression looks like that of a teacher ready to kidnap a student into his experimental lab. She decides that since it has come to this, she would like to add 2 conditions to their contract. The first is about the Daisy gossip sheet. She wants to use her power to shut it down. How dare they try to slander her? Backed by the big boss, she vows to wipe them all out. If she keeps getting attacked, her performance and mana will definitely be affected moving forward. Valentine agrees that this is reasonable. It's best to avoid any unnecessary obstacles. He asks her what the second condition is. She says it is an advance payment. She asks if that would be possible, even if he is the mighty Valentine. She has learned from her part-time work that it's always better to get paid in advance. Valentine has no problem with that either. She is all smiles now and asks if they should go in depth with the contract. The total contract time is 1 year. The goal, to make his family fed up with marriage. She says this is no problem, as he must have noticed she is a specialist in causing family problems. With that, she wants to add a special clause, protection for her life. What if she gets assaulted for acting all high and mighty? This makes him pause. Just how dangerous is her plan, really? Still, he agrees to add that clause as well. She thanks him and promises to add chaos to his life for his own satisfaction. As she signs, he adds for her to know that even as a duchess, she won't have to worry about any duties. They are already well managed. And she should also know that the child of his late brother's son is already destined to become the next duke. She stays silent for a while, then asks him a personal question. He allows it. She wants to know why he is so determined to avoid marriage so much that even a paper marriage bothers him. He points out that they're not truly married, so it won't matter. She agrees. For him, a real marriage is an incredibly inefficient arrangement. It demands their time, and the idea of sleeping with someone they don't like just to produce an heir like a stud horse on top of that, a loveless marriage, goes against his research ethics. Giselle is unable to understand what kind of scientific logic he is using here. Is he even kidding with her? But he adds there is still one hurdle left before the marriage. he needs the approval of the 5 people listed on this paper. She is confused as she looks at the people before her at the very core of the Kallinos power structure. It is the Senate. The Kallinos Senate is composed of the most respected individuals within the House of Kallinos, those among both direct and indirect bloodlines who have made the greatest strides in elevating the standing of the Kallinos position within the Institute. The Senate consists of 10 elders. These individuals preside over both the major and minor affairs of the ducal house. Typically, decisions require approval not only from the Senate, composed of blood relatives, but also the consent of the emperor. However, Kallinos is an exception. Constantly engaged in combat with monsters at the border, the matters of Kallinos are often resolved swiftly and autonomously under a special agreement between the House and the Senate. For this reason, all issues discussed in Senate meetings must be approved by a majority vote more than half. Agnes Kallinos, one of the Senate members, speaks now, stating that today's matter of discussion is the proposed marriage of Valentine. Another Senate member adds that the girl he wants to marry is Giselle. The current president of the Senate, Hensey, is the one opposing this proposal. Agnes shares that 5 members are currently in support, but they still need one more vote to reach a majority. Without it, the marriage cannot proceed. Hensey's party raises concerns, saying that the girl, Giselle, is shrouded in controversy. They question how someone like her can be permitted to marry Valentine. However, another senator suggests that since Valentine himself chose her, perhaps she is indeed someone remarkable. Maybe they should reconsider. Hensey insists that the matter is troubling. Agnes knows well that this will not be an easy resolution. She understands their desperation to win the Duke's favor, but even so, without a majority, the marriage will not be approved. Hensey then gazes out the window at a bird perched nearby and sighs, saying that this is all for now. Agnes responds that the matter remains unresolved. Hensey adds that the decision will be postponed for the time being, stating that it is not an urgent issue at this moment. Still, he mutters to himself what could possibly be more urgent than this wedding. Soon after, Hensey receives a letter addressed anonymously. It is regarding a book he had entrusted for consignment sale. The letter lists the book title's works on ethics and informs him that only 1 volume of Slaves has been sold. Along with the report is a settlement for 1 silver coin. Rosie urges him to visit the establishment where the books are being consigned as soon as possible. Head over heels with excitement that at least 1 copy has been sold, Hensey enters the shop, claiming he found a good book here on nobility. He asks the storekeeper why the books aren't arranged properly. The worker replies bluntly that he is going to throw them away because they simply aren't selling. Hensey is dumbfounded. The worker continues, saying if Hensey wants a book, he should ask someone else because he's busy right now. As Hensey turns to leave, he mutters to himself, wondering who could have written such a pathetic book that sold only 1 copy. The poor man is visibly disheartened. He laments that if he had published the book under his title as Senate President, perhaps he wouldn't be treated so poorly. His pride stings at the thought. Just then, Giselle enters. She picks up the book and praises it, saying the worker clearly lacks a good eye. Her words shock Hensey. Did she really just say his book is amazing? Could it be she is the one who bought that single copy? Back at her conversation with Valentine, Giselle suggests that he target the most key individual in the Senate, Hensey. In the novel she read, Hensey is a character who hides his true identity and dreams of becoming a best-selling author of self-help books. His motive for this is simple: it feels cooler. However, after facing relentless criticism and abysmal sales, he gives up. He is left mentally shattered. Eventually, his identity is revealed, and the book does become a bestseller, but the criticism doesn't stop, and his happiness doesn't last. Despite all of this, Hensey is fair and capable. Giselle believes that if they wish to win someone to their side, he is their best option. Even after the marriage, it will be better for her to have him as an ally. Back in the shop, Hensey asks Giselle if she really read the entire book. She responds affirmatively, explaining that she particularly liked the part where people of low rank, without being asked, put themselves in trouble to help others. That, to her, is the true act of nobility. Hensey is astonished. He can't believe that she is genuinely his reader. He asks her name and whether it would be a bother to get a coffee with him at the nearby cafe. She tells him her name is Giselle. He must already know it. At this, Hensey flinches. He asks if she is indeed Valentine's fiancée and whether she truly went through all of this just to earn his vote for the marriage. She denies this. She says she sought the book only because she was interested in it. Hensey asks if she really expects him to believe that. Giselle replies that she is not asking him to believe her, but she is telling the truth. She read the book published under his real name. She found similarities in tone and logic between that and this book. Hearing that he had invested in this bookstore, she had come to check it out, and that's when she ran into him. He had unknowingly admitted to her that he is the author. Hence he is left utterly speechless. Despite her reputation for having a weak spirit, she appears far more confident than he imagined. He finds himself at a loss for words and prepares to leave. Before he can walk away, she calls out to him, saying that if he does leave now, he will regret it. As his reader, she did have some disappointment with the book, and she believes she can help him. She smiles and adds that with her assistance, all citizens of the Empire will come to know of this book. Then, looking at him brightly, she asks, does he still want to leave? Hence he is utterly confused. He stares at Giselle, trying to process what she has just said. Is she truly suggesting that if everything goes well, she wants him to approve her marriage and give her 10% of the sales revenue from the book? His face flushes with anger. Does she honestly think he would agree to such conditions? Yet she remains calm, insisting that it's worth a shot. She then asks him plainly what his decision is. Hence he feels as if he's being pulled into something against his better judgment. He tells himself he doesn't need anyone's help for his book. Still, he gives in if only to test her. He decides to place his faith in her, just this once. She thanks him sincerely and promises that he won't regret this decision. Back at the manor, the Count calls Giselle and comments that she seems busy these days and that she doesn't look well at all. Giselle sighs and explains that she has been helping a self-made author edit his book. It's something she wanted to do on her own, without assigning it to anyone else, so it's been difficult for her to juggle everything. The Count's expression hardens. He becomes angry and demands to know where Maripose is. He clearly remembers assigning a personal maid to Giselle before he left, so why is she burdened with everything alone? Maripose laughs awkwardly, claiming that there must be some misunderstanding. She turns to Giselle, asking if she hadn't said she didn't like having a maid. Giselle frowns, confused. When had she ever said that? Maripose sighs dramatically and mutters that she must have misunderstood then. But inwardly, she thinks Giselle is truly shameless, making it seem as though everyone around here already serves her. If things continue this way, there's no doubt sparks will start flying. Even the Count will eventually catch on. And once all her lies pile up, they'll collapse on her all at once. Maripose excuses herself, saying that she has eaten and will be going now. Today marks the 3rd day since the edited book hit the shelves, and she also promised to meet someone. Meanwhile, Hensey is nearly stunned. His book is already tipping the charts. People are fighting to get their hands on it. Watching the demand surge before his eyes, he turns to Giselle and asks how she managed to do this. She explains that the first step was simple. In summer, the most important thing is to grab attention. The book cover had to be bold, and the title had to be something short and easy to remember. His original title, she notes, was far too long and easily forgettable. In this era overflowing with self-help books, he needed one that could capture attention at a glance. On top of that, the content needed editing. No one has the patience these days to read long, winding paragraphs. Everything had to be skimmed down to something easy to digest yet hard to ignore. She used her skills to enhance the structure and polish the message. What she created was a help book that no one would want to put down once they opened it. Hensey listens intently, then tells her he will send her royalties as per their agreement. He asks how she would like to receive them. Giselle replies that she has a magic vault the one Valentine gave her, but it can only hold up to 500 million, so she will need something bigger. She adds that she will get back to him about that soon. But first, she would like him to prepare a detailed earning report. He thanks her again for helping him sell the book. Giselle responds that the book was already amazing, she just made it easier to read. Most importantly, it was only easy to work with because he trusted her. She thanks him for that. Hensey smiles. He realizes how foolish he had been, judging her solely based on public perception. Now, he not only agrees to the marriage with Valentine, but also considers keeping her close. She might be someone truly valuable to have by his side going forward. Later that day, Peterson comes directly to him with news. Today, they have received the final decision from the Anderson Council regarding the marriage issue. Hensey looks up and asks him what the verdict is. Peterson answers with a smile. Hensey, who had been opposing the marriage until now, has approved it. And with that final vote, the majority was secured. The request is granted. The marriage can proceed. Valentine can barely believe it. Giselle actually pulled it off. He calls Peterson and his staff, instructing them to send the official letter to his grandfather. Then, with a growing smile, he orders them to arrange a family dinner for tomorrow. It is finally time to announce his marriage. The next day, she goes to deliver the book to the Count. He asks her what kind of book it is. She tells him it's the same book she mentioned earlier, the one she has been editing. The title, the billionaire in 1 minute, is quite a fancy one. She believes that first impressions are most important, after all. She hands it to him, saying that it is finally his, and that she only came to drop off the book. He should read it when he gets the time, as she has no intention of staying longer. The Count reads the book and is genuinely impressed. The fact that she wrote this herself is nothing short of remarkable. She is Sahira's daughter, so the similarity in handwriting is understandable, but the narrative style is astonishing. He had expected an ordinary book, yet finds himself wondering how this is even possible. She has never even attended the academy, and yet the quality is beyond what anyone would assume. The Count's aide enters to report something, but the Count's attention remains fixed on the book. He asks the aide if he knows anything about it. The aide tells him that this book has become extremely famous, with people lining up just to get their hands on a copy. The Count quietly wishes that Sahira could have read it too. The aide then adds that the author included the name Giselle in the acknowledgments. The Count stiffens. It is their Giselle. But the aide quickly tries to brush it off, saying there's no way that's true. It must just be a coincidence. It can't be the same young lady, especially with the rumors about her, and it would be foolish to write her name in public. The Count, now angry, reminds the aide whose daughter Giselle is. The aide, startled and afraid, immediately apologizes. The Count orders him to get a copy of the book right away. Something doesn't seem right. Since he came back, he hasn't really paid close attention, but now he can't shake off the feeling that people's thoughts about Giselle are filled with disgrace. It's not just his imagination. He firmly resolves that he must look into this matter. The next day, at the estate, Valentine's younger brother Taryn arrives. Valentine summoned him early in the morning. Valentine tells him that he has fallen in love and plans to marry his lover within the month. Taryn, shocked, asks him if he really intends to get married and whether the person is a woman or one of his fellow researchers. Valentine reveals that the name of the girl is Giselle. Taryn is stunned, asking if he is talking about that timid-looking girl who carries the worst reputation out there. He wants to know how such a thing even happened. Valentine tells him he met her at the banquet and fell in love at first sight. Taryn appears to be in disbelief, but then again, it is Valentine who used to wear nothing but black now pursuing bright, shiny colors. He always carried research papers with him, but this time, he didn't. It is the first time Taryn sees his brother taking such personal steps. Still, Taryn can't stop thinking, what if this entire marriage arrangement is just a scheme, and Valentine ends up kidnapping Giselle to force her into it? Taryn tells him that he better reconsider, as they still need their grandfather's and mother's approval. Valentine says that he already sent a letter to their grandfather and will soon go with his fiancée to meet their mother. Taryn, however, doesn't feel pleased about this. Even within their family, no one is as bold as their mother. More than that, the mistress of the Kalinos family is strict about property, rules, and the social circle. Introducing a marriage partner to her is like delivering the final nail in a coffin. Taryn also asks him about the Senate, but Valentine informs him that he already has their consent. Giselle herself had sent Hensey and handled the negotiation. Taryn feels like he is being fed lies at this point. No matter how he looks at the situation, it seems like a forced marriage. Valentine tells him that Giselle will be visiting soon, so he better free up his time research trolls or not, because she's coming. Taryn thinks this marriage is full of problems, and that he really needs to inform their mother before things get even more out of hand. At the inner garden, someone shares news that Cordelia hurt her hand while trying to tame the phantom beast, and the entire household was thrown into chaos. She insists that she is fine, just a little shaken, but is more afraid that bad rumors might start spreading about her. Juliana, Valentine's mother, says that such fear is strange. When one loves something, getting a little hurt or even passing out shouldn't matter. The other ladies mention that Cordelia is at marriageable age, and if rumors go around saying she's clumsy, it could harm her prospects. But Juliana says that none of that matters. What's important is that Cordelia has awakened her powers. The ladies agree and all go along with her plan to end the tea party for the day. After everyone has left, Juliana sighs. Once again, she has been unable to find a suitable match for Valentine. All of them are just frail ladies. Just then, Taryn comes running to her. Juliana scolds him, calling him uncultured and asking what kind of entrance that was. He asks her if she has heard the latest news. The council has approved Valentine's marriage, and he will soon visit with the lady he is going to marry. When she asks the lady's name, he tells her Giselle. Juliana begins to think that they must arrange the meeting soon. At that very moment, the Duke's household is filled with excitement and speculation regarding the announcement of his marriage. Meanwhile, at Giselle's residence, the atmosphere among the maids is heavy with resentment. The maids are murmuring in frustration, wondering why they must serve someone like Giselle. They complain that they are noble born too, so why must they bow their heads before a girl like her? One of them, May, who is Giselle's personal maid, speaks more loudly, saying that Giselle once had noble status, but someone like her doesn't even deserve to be called Lady Giselle anymore. From behind, Giselle asks her calmly if she is talking about her right now. May, startled and terrified, turns to see Giselle and stammers, asking what she's doing there. Giselle asks whether she really needs permission to step out of her room. When May responds that if Giselle acted more like a lady, she might actually treat her like one, Giselle replies indifferently that she doesn't care how May treats her, she's going out, because she has things to do. May is confused and asks where she is even going, especially since just recently Giselle was the one crying and apologizing to her. She can't believe Giselle is ignoring her like this now. At the Count's underground food storage area, May follows her, trying to figure out what Giselle is up to. She's surprised to find Giselle not taking wine from the shelf. Giselle knew May would follow if provoked, and now, it's time to stir up trouble. Giselle pours wine into a glass, while May watches, demanding to know what she's doing. As Giselle drinks it, May yells that this is the Maripo's special aged wine, highly expensive and exclusive. But Giselle is clearly enjoying it, ignoring the warning. May continues to scold her, questioning what kind of noble lady drinks wine like that in the middle of the night and calling her disgraceful. Giselle casually replies that daytime drinking is better and asks if May wants to try. May is aghast and begs her to snap out of it, warning that if anyone finds out, Giselle will be punished and she herself will be dismissed for failing to stop it. Giselle mocks her, asking if she's really so scared of getting scolded. She's annoyed at this constant buzzkill ruining her moment. Giselle says that, for now, they are going to enjoy the wine. May shouts again that it's expensive and begs her to stop. She knows that if this keeps up, she will be the one punished. She was told to lay low, but she truly cannot handle Giselle's behavior any longer. She screams out Giselle's name in frustration. Giselle, furious, slaps her hard and demands how dare she call her name so shamelessly. May is shocked and asks if she's gone insane. Giselle mocks her again, telling her to get out of her sight because she plans to keep drinking the wine. May stares in disbelief, realizing that Giselle has completely lost her mind. She decides she has no choice but to report everything to Maripo's and teach her a lesson. She warns Giselle not to leave the area until Maripo's comes, then they'll see if Giselle can still act so proud. After all, before Giselle deals with anyone else, she must first handle the person who is always slacking off and drinking wine here. The wine is spilled for a reason according to the novel. There's a spot in the floor of the wine stockroom. When wine is poured on it, a magic-protected object beneath it reveals itself unaffected by water, dirt, or decay. In other words, hidden below is a ledger belonging to the Count's family. Just then, a man rushes over and asks what she's holding. Seeing her clearly, he realizes it's Giselle. She tells him that finally, they meet. This man is the one who was once in charge of the mansion's accounts, but after Maripo's intervention, he was demoted to mere wine cellar keeper. She refers to him as the accounting genius and the inventor of double-entry bookkeeping, Mr. Kima. She knows that Kima had hidden the ledger in the cellar. Kima, shocked, asks how she even knew that. He hurriedly tries to assure her that it's not what it seems. She interrupts him, saying she's not here to accuse him. She plans to keep his secret under one condition. She has two proposals for him. First, he must hand over the gold coin storage artifact he possesses. If combined with spatial magic, the artifact can store up to 100 billion gold coins. He is stunned, asking how she even knows about that. He had bought it secretly, thinking to use it once he was reinstated as the accounting manager. Her second condition is simple. Once he returns to his position, he must assist her. She needs someone who can manage funds with perfect transparency. He is confused, asking what she even means by that. She tells him that she reviewed his double-entry books and found them remarkably precise and easy to understand. Someone like him makes her think it won't be a mistake to entrust her finances to him. Kima is overwhelmed, moved that someone finally recognizes his skills. Until now, everyone had mocked and criticized him for his work. He grows teary-eyed, thinking this is too much, too silly even, but he agrees. They will sign a contract. Then, he hesitantly asks her, how did she even know the ledger was there? Just as they are speaking, a loud voice echoes through the storage room. Maripos has arrived. Giselle turns to her with a cool expression and says it's perfect timing. She has just discovered something and wonders if Maripos wouldn't mind coming with her. At that moment, the Count storms in, livid. He demands to know what is going on here. From what he is seeing, it seems someone has been embezzling funds for 5 years, and he cannot believe something like this was allowed to happen. On the other side of the estate, Aide stands before the Count, handing him the compiled report concerning Giselle. Aide informs him that there appears to be something unusual about how the maids are treated by Giselle. Also, Mariposa shows concern, but Giselle shows her hostility. There are also claims that Giselle consistently defies Mariposa's orders and that, within the household, the general consensus paints Giselle as the problematic one, as if she's the villain of the manor. Next, Aide presents the report of the business ledgers from the past 5 years' businesses that Mariposa had been operating under borrowed names. As the Count flips through the pages, it becomes clear that there are no records of expenditures. The ledgers are filled only with income, and even then, all deductions are conspicuously missing. While the format mimics that of official ledgers, the actual usage of funds is entirely vague. The flow of capital is deliberately hard to trace. At a glance, the Count can already tell this was made to be intentionally opaque. Now, combined with the suspicious slander being spread about Giselle, there are two glaring red flags. As Giselle stands quietly in front of him, the Count waits for a response. His voice carries a deep disappointment as he tells her that whether she was aware of this or not, he is truly let down by what's been revealed. Then, he turns to Kima, addressing him directly. He asks if Kima was the one in charge of accounting 5 years ago. Kima affirms that he was indeed responsible at the time. The Count frowns, deep in thought. To have demoted someone capable of making such clean and detailed ledgers, it makes no sense. His elders and Mariposa must have been either careless or deliberately incompetent. The ledger Kima prepared is nearly flawless in its clarity, so why was a man like him relegated to the position of a wine cellar keeper? Mariposa tries to say something, but the Count silences her immediately. He says he doesn't need any excuses. As of this moment, she is to be cut off from all family affairs. Furthermore, she is banned from all social gatherings and from any kind of engagement outside the estate. From now on, any communication between her and the outside world will be conducted strictly through the head maid. Mariposa says to him that this is wrong. Giselle could be lying, so how can he do this to his own sister? But the Count just scoffs. He says he verified the ledger himself, and if she's trying to say that he's a fool or planning to pin the blame onto the girl she's treated like dirt her whole life, then she better think twice. Mariposa starts trembling and lashes out, asking how he can say such a thing, but the Count's so over her whining at this point. Giselle can tell now that Mariposa's exposed, she won't be able to act the way she used to anymore. The Count asks Giselle where she found the ledger. She tells him that she discovered it while drinking, casually. The Count, surprisingly, says that if she says so, he'll believe her. The whole room is like, wait, is he seriously just gonna take her word for it like that? Giselle then asks if she can get a reward. The Count says she can ask for anything she wants. So, Giselle immediately points at May and says she wants her punished. Because earlier in the cellar, this maid straight up called her by name and talked to her all rude and disrespectful. May defends herself, saying that Giselle slapped her first. Giselle owns that she did slap her. But is it her fault if she had to discipline an ill-behaved maid? The Count puts his foot down. If this really happened, he can't overlook it. They'll fire the maid. Giselle's grinning, already adding that they should fire her without any reference letter or pay. May freaks out and yells that this is basically a death sentence for a maid, but Giselle's unbothered, says it's not her concern. May begs for mercy, but Mariposa's the one who can't believe what she's witnessing. Seriously? The Count's trusting Giselle this much now? She used to be the biggest outcast, so why is everything suddenly going her way? Scene cuts to Valentine sitting in a carriage, reading a newspaper. He's thinking, what on earth just went down at Giselle's house for it to blow up in the papers like this? Especially to expose the truth that the Count is actually the alcoholic, not her. He turns to Giselle, who's also in the carriage, and asks if this was her plan all along. Giselle nods yup, nailed it. After all, someone with a ruined reputation and a family riddled with feuds? No noble family's gonna pick her as a bride. So the moment she got that invitation from the Duke's house, she set the whole article in motion. The Count's family still wants to keep this as a secret contract marriage. And if Mariposa finds out she's getting married to Valentine, who knows what kind of storm she'll throw. Now, they're on their way to meet his family. Giselle finds out that today they're just going to meet his mom and his younger brother. Makes sense. She thinks even in the original storyline, there was never any mention of the former Duke, so this checks out. Giselle gets all excited to meet his mom, but then asks Valentine for a favor. He raises an eyebrow, what now? She tells him that in front of his mom, he has to act like they're madly in love. Full-on performance mode. Valentine's totally down, though anything that sounds chaotic or spicy, he's in. Honestly, they're kinda giving couple goals energy at this point. Cut to the dining room. Terrence shook when he sees they're already there. He greets Giselle politely, but oh no, y'all are not ready for what happens next. His mom straight up ignores Giselle and only asks Valentine to come take a seat, saying he's a bit late. Like, she's fully playing the invisible card with Giselle. Full mother-in-law versus daughter-in-law drama unlocked. Valentine greets her, saying it's been a while, then introduces Giselle as his soon-to-be wife. Giselle greets everyone with a smile, already gearing up mentally to see if she can actually pull this off this time. Inside Juliana's room, she's handed a full report on Giselle, the factual one, not the messy gossip kind. But yeah, the scandalous rumors are there too. Apparently, Giselle has approached both Berto and Duke Richelieu. Juliana just scoffs. To her, Giselle is pathetic and weak. Someone like her doesn't deserve to be part of their family. She decides it's finally time to show Giselle exactly who they are. Flash to the present after Giselle gives her greeting, Juliana straight up mocks her. Says that seeing Giselle greet like that reminds her of how Terran used to greet ghosts when he was 7. Oh, she's not holding back at all. Apparently, back then he'd pull all kinds of pranks on adults, and Juliana thought he was so cute. It's clear she's trying to humiliate Giselle, low-key implying that her greeting feels like a grown adult trying way too hard to be cute. But Giselle? Totally unfazed. She starts acting even cuter, saying that Terran must have been so adorable back then too. Valentine steps in, smooth as ever, and suggests they continue the convo after everyone's seated. A servant is called, and they move on to the meal. While they're eating, it's crystal clear that Juliana is actively trying to ostracize Giselle. When she first entered the manor, there was already a lady who accidentally splashed water on her. And now, her portion of food is noticeably smaller than everyone else's. Valentine tries his best to block the passive aggression out, but Juliana keeps chiming in, one comment after another, and the atmosphere is tense. Then it happens: the maid drops a knife, and it rips Giselle's sleeve. Juliana raises an eyebrow, all fake concerned, and says it looks like the maid made a mistake. Her dress is torn, so maybe she'd like to leave first. She even throws in an apology on the maid's behalf. Because, you know, these kinds of things are normal in their family. After all, she says, they defend the borders, so unlike other families, the mistress of this house must be ready to go without food and watch her fancy clothes get wrecked on the daily. Juliana takes it further. Based on what she's seen so far, Giselle clearly won't be able to adapt to their lifestyle. So, she tells the lady on the waiting list to go ahead and take Giselle's seat because apparently there's no place for her here. Valentine isn't having it anymore. He tells Juliana she's going too far. Giselle is his fiancée, and what does all this behavior even mean? But Juliana calmly says it's all for the family. Valentine gets heated. How in the world is this kind of treatment good for their reputation? Before things escalate more, Giselle cuts and calls Valentine darling, says it's fine, and turns to Juliana with a playful glint in her eye. She asks if the mistress of the house has to handle everything alongside her husband. Then, without warning, she climbs into Valentine's lap, saying she doesn't need a chair when she can be wherever her husband is. She hugs him close and tells Juliana this is just how they are now, one heart, one team. Valentine is literally malfunctioning. Like shocked, red ears, panic mode level flustered. But he still nods and says yes, this is perfect. Juliana smirks, cool as ever, and asks if Giselle is asking her for marriage approval now. Giselle nods like, that's exactly what I'm doing. So Juliana leans back and reminds her that even as the Duchess, she won't be allowed to interfere in internal affairs of the family. She'll have to live a quiet life away from high society. Basically calling Giselle an outsider, but Giselle claps back sweetly, says that's fine, she actually likes high solitude. In fact, would Juliana like to recommend her a good resort? Maybe somewhere peaceful and remote? Juliana smiles like this is all settled now. Says since Giselle has introduced herself properly, the marriage can go ahead. She looks forward to seeing how well she'll adapt. Then she leaves, all cool elegance. Meanwhile, Giselle beams and tells Valentine it seems like they just got permission. She even whispers for him to keep playing along. Valentine, still recovering from the lap stunt, says yes, he's totally happy. Then Terran storms in, yelling if she's seriously okay and why she's agreeing to marry Valentine. Giselle responds with a soft, dreamy smile, saying it's because he loves her. Then she turns to Valentine and asks if she's right. Valentine, completely out of it, just gazes at her and says yep, that's correct. Then he pulls Giselle along with him, telling Terran he can leave now they're going to spend a little more time together. Terran's left standing there, completely stunned, wondering what the actual heck is going on. Are they seriously dating now? Outside, Giselle is practically skipping with joy. She's thrilled that it all went well. Says they managed to make Juliana bend, and either way, they got her permission, so it's all good. She turns to Valentine and asks how she did. He says she nailed it, but he'd really prefer it if they avoided further physical contact. She teases him, asking if he hated her sitting on his lap. He answers honestly. Ever since she sat there, his heart's been beating like crazy. Oh God, he's so ridiculously straightforward. She can't help it. She loves it. She gets all flustered, cheeks warming up like she's just walked into a romance drama, and for some reason, the background practically transforms, flowers blooming, glitter in the air, love song vibes everywhere. She wonders if, by some chance, this dude's actually catching feelings for her. But hold up, nope. He starts rambling in that over-analytical way of his, going on about how his heart's beating faster than normal and his ears turning red, which might be due to an overproduction of norepinephrine. And just like that, Giselle mentally facepalms. Yeah, this guy is a lost cause. She really should have known better. Back in reality, they're now talking about heart rates like it's a science project, and honestly, it's looking like she won't be getting that romantic spark she half suspected. Still, he's counting on her for the rest of the year. They're basically stuck with each other. She casually asks what she's supposed to do until the marriage thing is official, and he drops that she's going to be assigned a private tutor to oversee her education in the household. That tutor? None other than Agnes, his mom's close aide. He throws in a little warning about Agnes too, saying her personality's kinda eccentric and she might rope Giselle into some risky, borderline unhinged stuff. She thinks of his banked expressions for a second, then asks if he can spill a bit more tea on this Agnes character. Next thing, we see Agnes full-on teaching Giselle like it's a university seminar. Potion making turns out to be this elite field led by council elders, and apparently, he himself is working on something huge. He's all excited, saying he might just be on the brink of a breakthrough this time. Giselle casually mentions that it still seems like he's running into some trouble with that potion, and he totally glitches out, demanding how she even knows that. She tells him it was scribbled in the margins of one of his books, and the ingredient list, especially that imaginary herb, Halon herb, made it super obvious. He straight up snatches the book from her hands, practically shouting about when she even managed to read all that. Then he adds that books can only teach so much, and if she really wants to learn, he's down to let her enter the actual potion research lab. The vibe inside the lab is next level, extracts from all kinds of monsters, scary enough to make people run for their lives. Most couldn't even handle the sight. But he's clearly impressed by her, enough to want to introduce her to the elders. He just hopes she doesn't have any secret, shady motives. She's honestly hyped though, she's been dying to meet the other elders too. He can't believe this girl doesn't even catch sarcasm. Anyway, they're about to head out because he's got a meeting with those same elders, but she'll need the rest of their permission too. So, for now, she's gotta wait. Giselle thinks maybe now's the perfect time to get moving herself. She steps outside, remembering how in the original novel, the male lead Berto visited the Valentine house and just happened to find the Halon herb. That discovery led to a major negotiation power-up with the Duke's family. Everyone was stunned that an endangered herb was chilling in the Duke's estate, but she remembers exactly where that herb was found. And this time? No way she's letting that scoundrel score a future husband buff off it. Over at the servant quarters, she greets the workers. They look at her like she's lost, because seriously, nobles don't just waltz in here. They politely tell her she should probably head back, but she says she's here to get something. Still, they side-eye her hard, thinking no noble girl should be in this part of the estate. But Giselle's not backing down, she keeps pushing, wanting to check out one particular room. Eventually, her eyes land on the servant she was looking for. She zeroes in on the badge on his shirt. Could it be? Without even asking, she takes it, saying she's gonna borrow it for a bit. The servant's totally confused, asking what that even is. But she's already holding it, claiming it's hers to use for now. It's rumored that when someone with strong mana grips this badge, a faint electric pulse ripples across it. Sure enough, a current starts buzzing through the air. She's thrilled it's working. The energy's perfect. The servants freak out, telling her this doesn't feel right, but she brushes them off. How dare she wander the estate with no escort? She shrugs it off, saying she got bored and went out for a walk, accidentally ending up here. But forget all that, she just found something seriously interesting. Hensey welcomes her into the council room, where she greets everyone and confidently drops the bomb that she's the Valentine's future fiancée, and yep, she's that Giselle. The elders collectively short-circuit, like, did this girl just say what they think she said? Out loud? Hensey side-eyes Agnes, asking if he's doing okay because he looks completely wrecked, but Agnes just plays it cool, pretending he's totally fine. They ask what brought her to the council room, and she explains it was this badge. It's no ordinary badge. Even the servants mentioned it gave off an electric spark when touched. She tells them to try it for themselves. Honestly, most of them expected nothing to happen. But when they do try it, boom, it actually reacts. Even Agnes is standing there like, wait, what? They soon notice something even crazier inside the badge. Halon's herb is actually growing. All the elders crowd around, jaws on the floor, wondering if the conditions for germination have finally been met. They start congratulating Agnes like it's his moment, saying he might finally be able to complete that potion of his. But another elder is like, hold up, with this much herb, they might only be able to make 1 dose. If he wants more, he needs to figure out a method for cultivation. Giselle casually drops that she already knows how to cultivate Halon's herb. Says she only needs 2 hours. Actually, the entire room goes silent. Agnes is stunned, asking if she's seriously claiming to know how to grow an herb that's been thought extinct. She says she got the idea from a romance novel. Hensey, amused, points out that she's weirdly confident for someone pulling ideas from fiction, but maybe this is the perfect moment to let her prove herself in front of everyone. The elders look unsure. One of them questions whether Hensey's really going to let her do whatever she wants, especially since she's not even the Duchess yet, just an ordinary girl. But Giselle's already excited to give it a go. She jumps into her process for cultivating Halon's grass. Step 1. Take a seed from the Majenka plant, usually dismissed as a weed. Then, mix it with carminium in water at a specific temperature. Voila, the Majenka seed transforms into Halon's grass. In the original novel, Berto had discovered this totally by accident through a servant's badge. It was one of those forced plot setups designed to give the male lead some sparkle. But this time, Giselle's the one stealing the spotlight. All the elders are floored. They thought Halon's grass was extinct. And now this? It opens a whole new path for potion making. She glances around, wondering why everyone's clapping for Agnes. He awkwardly explains it's because he's going to be the one making the potion. But she immediately shuts that down, asking who even said she's going to teach him the method. Agnes is shook. He argues that she's going to be the Duchess soon, so she should be open to sharing it. But Giselle scoffs, throwing back their earlier comment that she's not the Duchess yet. So why should she be handing out knowledge like freebies? Agnes tries appealing to her noble side, saying the potion could help heal countless people, and it would be a righteous act. But Giselle's not buying it. She reminds him that he literally shouted at her and even threw books at her. So no, he doesn't get a free pass. All the elders turn to him, eyes wide, silently asking if he really did that. He folds immediately, apologizing like his life depends on it, and asks her to teach him the method. But Giselle's like, yeah, sorry, apologies don't pay the bills. He offers her 10% of the potion's profits. Still not good enough. She continues fake sulking, clearly holding out. He bumps it to 15%. She sighs dramatically, says she's suddenly feeling faint and heavy, maybe she'll just collapse. He panics and blurts out 20%. Now she's all smiles. That'll do. She also wants to be officially added to the list of co-researchers. Agnes is confused. Why would she want that? She shrugs, saying maybe they're not actually going to be working together that well. He sighs and agrees. She wins. He then asks someone to bring out the contract. Now that things are official, he starts teaching her and casually brings up that she must already know the former Duke is out on the eastern continent. She straight up yawns. Learning about noble history is low-key boring, and she wants to know if there's literally anything else to study. Agnes nearly facepalms. His whole potion project is on the line here. Plus, Juliana personally asked him to keep an eye on Giselle. Later, Juliana comments that it seems like Giselle's giving Agnes a bit of a tough time. He says it's not really like that, it's just unusual. On the outside, she looks all innocent, but she's got sharp business instincts. Even Hensey publicly supports her, and yeah, the girl's got charisma. Juliana scolds him for talking about Hensey like that, but still, she tells him to keep watching her closely. Every move. Back in the present, Giselle asks if they can maybe skip the history lecture and talk more about lab research instead. Agnes breaks it down for her. The Duchy has 3 research labs: the Duke's private lab, a central lab directly under the elders, and a smaller one where Juliana crafts many magical tools under the supervision of her close aide. They cover everything from weapons and armor to potions and artifacts. She immediately wants to know if Juliana really has a lab too. Agnes confirms that she used to be a mage. Giselle's brain short-circuits a little. If that's true, then she has to see this lab. Agnes throws in that outsiders aren't allowed access, but Giselle is already thinking that she's basically family soon. Plus, she's got money riding on this new potion. In the original novel, Agnes's potion had insane effects, but terrible marketing made it flop. Meanwhile, Berto's fake potion got all the hype, but with her involved now, there's no way she's letting that happen. With 30% royalties secured, she's already calculating the payout. If the market reacts well, that's at least $1 billion in revenue, which means $1.7 billion in her pocket. She's already planning to use that cash to hire herself a top-tier teacher. Then, the head maid walks in with a letter from Juliana, addressed to Giselle. Reading it, Giselle stands up and announces that she'll be heading back home. She's got a dowry to prepare. Game on! At the Imperial Palace Council Chamber, people murmur among themselves, saying they have heard that Valentine is going to attend today's meeting. The Count is also present, wondering what Giselle is up to this time. The nobles continue their gossip, claiming that Valentine has found a lady, and if that is true, he might finally return to the north to get married. The Count, however, finds it troubling that everyone keeps repeating how Valentine still refers to himself as a monster in a bay, and he silently resolves to keep Giselle far away from him. But suddenly, the murmurs take a sharp turn. As the topic of marriage comes up, people begin bringing Giselle into the conversation. They recall that she once begged to marry a noble and referred to her as the disgrace of her family. The Count is startled and asks them what they're talking about. They inform him that it seems he hasn't heard, perhaps because he just returned, but Giselle used to beg Berto and Reincarnated to marry her. They add cruelly that she used to get hit by onions, and then one day, she ran away crying. The Count rises to his feet, visibly disturbed after hearing this. Slamming his hand on the desk, he glares around the room and demands to know how they dare speak of his daughter in such a way. He warns them that if they don't take back what they said, he will make them crawl out of the room dead. The people begin to murmur nervously, now whispering that the Count is the one being rude. Just then, Valentine enters the room, announcing that the meeting is about to begin and asking what all the noise is about. The others, now terrified, stammer that they were merely talking about Giselle's scandals and that the Count became flustered. When Valentine hears Giselle's name, his expression darkens. He walks over and slams one man's face onto the desk, making it clear that her name is not something to be spoken of so lightly. The man begs Valentine for mercy. The Count is baffled by Valentine's fury. He doesn't understand why he's so angry over people talking about Giselle. Valentine then turns to the Count and assures him that he doesn't need to worry about these things. More importantly, they will be seeing each other more often now, as Valentine is planning to visit him soon. Later, the Count walks out of the mansion, unsure about what Valentine meant regarding Giselle. Just then, Giselle appears and asks if he has returned. The Count asks her what brings her there. She tells him that she has something to discuss and asks him to accompany her to a certain coffee place. The Count admits that he didn't expect her to like such places. Then, he casually informs her that Lady Juliana has asked him to set the wedding date and that they'd like to meet with her family. They also want to talk about the dowry, as she must know how important dowries are in noble society. This makes Giselle laugh, amused by the assumption that she wouldn't be able to prepare a dowry. She then asks the Count if he likes coffee. He says that he does and that he uses spices he brought back from his voyages in tea, coffee, food, everything. She remarks that perhaps that's why the spice trade is so expensive. The Count asks her if she's interested in trade. Giselle admits that she has done some research and, if she keeps it up, she'll be able to help him. The Count grows angry not at her, but at the thought that someone this skilled and bright had been treated so poorly. He acknowledges that it was his fault for leaving everything to Mariposa and wonders what the hell he was thinking, so blinded by his friend's legacy. At that time, Giselle was in misery, and he had been fixated on a single goal. Now, he is trying to be more careful. Regret won't fix the past, so what matters now is to fix the present for Giselle. He encourages her to do whatever she wants. He then tells her that finding a teacher these days is really difficult since the academy term has already begun, but if she insists, they can try to get her admitted. Giselle thinks they will reject her because she's an adult and far past the usual school age. The Count stares at her and asks if there's anything else she wants. Giselle brings up the missing funds in the ledger written by Kima and asks if she can track down where the money went. She wonders if he would give her full authority over it. He tells her that if she's able to find out, of course he will, but warns that it won't be easy. She assures him that it's no big deal. They agree it will be more of a deal that way, and she'll be able to prepare her dowry herself. On the other side, Valentine is reading a book titled How to Impress the Father-in-Law, and it says to be cool and helpful. He's glad the timing is perfect and thinks he already scored some points with Giselle's father, so their chances of getting his approval are much better. He then turns to Giselle and asks if there's something he should help her with. When she asks what, he brings up Mariposa. Since Giselle isn't going to take revenge, he says he will help her instead. She asks him how he possibly plans to do that. He assures her that he will keep a close watch on Mariposa's actions because he wants his employee to focus on her work. Then, he says that if she wants, he will lend her his family name. No, he will lend himself to her. She is caught off guard but calls the offer great and leans in to say that they'll go on a date. Then, at the time when Valentine and Giselle are having their conversation, on the Count's side, he questions Mariposa about whether she knew of the rumors circulating about Giselle. Mariposa replies that she did. The Count demands to know why, then, she never tried to correct the people. Mariposa reasons that although she had stopped paying much attention to Giselle, she had nothing to do with her getting bullied.